Mayonnaise is a simple ingredient with a critical mission in professional kitchens. So why is selecting the right mayonnaise so complex? From extra heavy duty to real super premium, the category terminology causes unnecessary confusion. And the lack of standardization can lead to disappointing results, dissatisfied customers, and costly waste. Visit venturafoods.com/mayo needs to help you find the right mayonnaise for your operation.
Welcome to Menu Talk. I'm Pat Kobe, Senior Editor of Restaurant Business, and I'm here with
Bret Thorne, Senior Food and Beverage Editor of Nation's Restaurant News and Restaurant Hospitality. Welcome, everybody. And hi, Pat. How you doing?
Bret. I'm doing well. I heard you had kind of a fun weekend down in Atlantic City. So
Yes.
What did you see?
Well, I went to Atlantic City and stayed at the Ocean Casino. While I was in Atlantic City, there was a party that featured Alex Earl, who is an influencer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a blonde woman whose videos are about going out, getting ready to go out. She has social media videos about that, so I'm told. I only know this because I had to research her when Carl's Jr. hired her to do some promotional stuff, like the Queso Crunch Burger that they just launched.
Yes.
But if you follow me on TikTok, you can see my commentary, or Instagram.
And I was commenting that, Carl's Jr. came out with the Queso Crunch Burger, but this week there are a lot of burgers and hot dogs on menus, kind of like a real summer thing. My comment was that, July 4th is typically the holiday where you eat burgers and hot dogs, but now restaurants are continuing it all through the month. So,
yeah, well, I guess National Hot Dog Day happened recently. I don't pay attention to food holidays.
Yeah, there's so many.
Yeah, Shake Shack now has a special Dog Days menu with a bunch of different hot dogs, which harkens back to Shake Shack's history when it started out as a hot dog stand in Madison Square Park. So they're bringing those back.
Well, and they're also tying them into like a value menu, which is another big trend. So you can get 2 hot dogs for $8, which is a pretty good deal.
Yeah. It's a considerable discount for Shake Shack. And I probably mentioned this before, but they're doing this thing where if you order via their app, sodas are $1. And you don't have to order anything else. You just order a soda. $1.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's a good deal. And
like the secret menu.
Right. Well, you're probably going to go in and get some new fried pickles or whatever. They have new fried pickles or fries. And even if not, they're going to make money off of $1 soda because soda doesn't cost that much.
And we've also seen a lot of pickles, which we talked about before, but it's never ending. And Del Taco came out with a pickle taco this week, which sounds pretty interesting. Yeah, there was a pickle. Saladworks came out with a chicken pickle salad with a pickle dressing. Yeah, it has pico de gallo, I think, or pickle pico and pickle ranch and pickles. So it's triple pickle.
And KFC has fried pickles now.
Yeah.
That's a new one. So, yeah, a lot of pickles this summer. People are into the pickles, and maybe our audience would like to add pickles to their menu if they don't already. Fry a pickle.
Yeah. I mean, what could be bad? Sounds good.
Well, the challenge is getting the batter to stick to your soft pickle.
Yeah.
Or to your wet pickle. You got to figure out how to dry it out properly.
It must be challenging. I've never tried it myself.
You've never made a fried pickle on your own?
No, I haven't.
No, me neither. I mean, deep frying at home can be tricky.
Another piece of news that I found interesting is that Starbucks announced today that their pumpkin spice latte will be released on August 20th. And usually they're very, very secretive about it. And this is more than a month ahead of its actual launch date. So that was pretty surprising.
That is surprising. And it also seems kind of late to me. I feel like pumpkin spice season kind of begins in early August. And everyone says, oh my goodness, it's too soon. But it usually does happen in early August. Starbucks isn't necessarily the first one to jump in there, although Starbucks is, of course, the inventor of the pumpkin spice latte. Got to give them credit for that. or at least the popularizer of it. Maybe they saw it in some obscure coffee house somewhere and decided to do it, but they certainly made it the seasonal sensation that it is. And it starts in early August and then ends at Thanksgiving. The day after Thanksgiving, nobody wants pumpkin spice anymore. It's weird, actually.
To peppermint.
Right. Peppermint and chocolate.
But I think Starbucks normally, I mean, I was looking back at what I wrote last year, and I think it was August 22nd last year. So it's always like they're not the first. It's usually like in the third week of August.
Yeah, I think Krispy Kreme was really early last year, if I remember correctly. And there's always a complaint that it's too soon, but these chains would not be starting to sell pumpkin spice if the customers were not buying them. So they know what they're doing.
Yeah, definitely. There's always a big, cry for it to start on social media. And there are some influencers that, they find out the secret menus ahead of time and everybody latches onto that.
Yeah, I personally am a black coffee guy. Sometimes I'll add dairy, actual dairy. I'll have a cappuccino. But other than that, I just want black coffee.
And are you iced or hot?
It depends on the season. I drink hot coffee when it's cold out and iced coffee when it's warm out. So today, before I got on the subway, I bought an iced Americano from one of my local coffee houses called Maestro. I like the Ukrainian baristas there. They're quite charming. And they make a good iced Americano.
Yeah.
And it's right on the way to the subway.
We have a Maestro in my neighborhood too, and they are much less expensive than some of the big chains.
Well, your Maestro might be different from mine then. Because it's priced similarly to the other.
Yeah. Well.
But, it's a good name, Italian-ish name for a coffee house. Coffee. And yeah, you're on the Upper East Side and I'm in Brighton Beach, so it's not like they'd be competitors.
Right. Well, we also feature an interview with Matt Banton, who's the VP of Menu Innovation and Strategy at Cracker Barrel. And I really enjoyed talking with him. He's a really interesting guy who got a start in some quick service chains, but now he's at a full service chain. And his whole shtick is trying to make the meals at Cracker Barrel an experience that you want to share with family, friends, or you come there for the experience. And the Campfire Meals that are there this summer are a great representation of that. And you mentioned that there's a new one.
Right, yeah, it was just introduced last week, I think, a campfire lunch special. Let's see what it is.
Yeah, and for those of you who are unfamiliar with them, they come wrapped in like a packet of foil, and you open it at the table, and it's all the steam escapes, and it's a mixture of vegetables and chicken and potatoes and some other good stuff. Lots of seasonings.
Yeah, and the new one is the Campfire Steak Lunch, a New York strip with the same campfire seasoning and corn and potatoes for like $16. So,
yeah, it's a great deal. And he's also trying to expand the flavor portfolio at Cracker Barrel because, I mean, Cracker Barrel has, some signature flavors, but he's exploring more, especially through the use of sauces. And with his pancake platters, you can now get them in more variations than just plain pancakes. So,
and innovation at Cracker Barrel has to be a little tricky because they're a scratch kitchen. They don't mess around. They make things in their restaurants. So.
Right.
Respect to them.
Right. So he's an interesting guy to listen to. So hope you enjoy it. I'm here with Matt Banton, who is VP of Culinary and Innovation at Cracker Barrel. Welcome, Matt.
Hi, Pat. Thank you for having me.
I hope I got your title correct because I know it was
It changes a little bit, but it's Vice President of Menu Strategy and Innovation.
Okay.
Here at Cracker Barrel.
Great. Well, let's begin by you telling me a little bit about the culinary journey that brought you to Cracker Barrel.
Oh, well, I've always been a fan of food and the food experiences, and it's something I've loved my entire career. I've actually been around food since I was 16. Prior to Cracker Barrel, I spent the last 13 years leading both menu strategy and innovation for a variety of different QSR brands as well. And then in August of last year, I joined Cracker Barrel mainly for a couple of reasons. One, I fell in love with the brand and the brand's ability to touch people. right? I think everyone I talked to had some story of Cracker Barrel, whether it was like a road trip you were on or some, going to breakfast with a family member as well. So the brand really interested me there. And two, the food. I thought the food was awesome, right? I just it was just great food, no matter how you sliced it. And it was, whether you wanted breakfast, there was an option for you there, lunch or dinner, and just or country classics. I think the food kind of drew me there. And I think the last piece was where the brand was, as we're getting ready to embark on this transformation. I think it's very rare to find all three of those things in one place at one time. And I was excited to join and help the team on the journey.
So is it very different working in a full service chain as opposed to a QSR?
I think there are going to be some things that are similar, right? Ultimately, in the day, our guests are going to come to us for a food experience that is hot, consistent, how they want it. What may change are just the occasions that you're serving, right? So rather than on the go, it's going to be, hey, I'm sitting down for a special occasion with my dad that I haven't seen in a while, and we're going to do it, and we're going to talk over food. So I think the mechanics are actually very similar. It's just the occasions you serve are a little different. So I think when you're, so how you think about the food and products are probably the same. You just have to kind of morph the occasions that the end user will have.
Well, you've been there less than a year. I think it's a year in August. Is that correct?
Year in August.
Yeah. So what are your menu goals? I mean, when you first came over, what were some of your menu goals and where were you focusing innovation?
I think ultimately, when you think about the menu, what we're trying to do is deliver craveable, only here experiences, right? I think when you think about Cracker Barrel, the food has to draw you in, right? Ultimately, it's going to be what's going to make you drive by a bunch of other restaurants to come to Cracker Barrel. It's going to be those only here experiences that we're kind of known for as well. So that's step one, is like understanding where on the menu do we want to have these only here experiences and which ones do we want to lean into. I think the second part is, to do that, you have to have a robust pipeline, right? And I think one of my things when I came in was understanding, okay, what's in that pipeline today? Where can we bolster the pipeline? And what are some things that are there that are quick wins that we can pull forward? Ultimately, I want to get to a point where your pipeline is not something that you rebuild, you just reload, right? And I think that's a very important kind of thing to kind of do as well. And the last piece on the menu is just to understand where are some opportunities that we can make the menu solve different problems for our guests through things like our barbell pricing strategy, or just being able to provide other solutions to problems that we may or may not know they have to help us drive increased traffic and frequency of our guests.
Well, even in the short time you've been there, have you put some things into the pipeline that you're proud of, or that you feel are doing really well for the menu?
Yeah, for sure. And, in the same vein, I think, one of the things I look at right away is like, hey, what's our core and kind of what are some of our core attributes and core products, and where are there some opportunities to improve the lives of our guests, basically. And one of the big ones was pancakes, right? So when we looked at our pancakes, we have some of the best pancakes out there with crispy edges and taste, the very ownable pancakes. And we serve them in these phenomenal platters. We have our mama's platter and a grandma's platter. But one of the things that we realized is that we really don't lean into platters that do very well with flavor, or guests who are looking for flavor variety. So we created our signature pancake platters, which basically says, hey, if you're a guest that loves flavored pancakes, whether they're blueberry, chocolate chip, peach, whatever it is, we now have a platter for you. And we've democratized it in a way that, hey, flavor doesn't have an upcharge in these platters. No matter what flavor you choose, it's all the same price, right? And that was the newest platter we launched this past spring, along with, at the same time, we also fixed our architecture by, investing in our stuffed cheesecake pancakes as well. So now our guests, had this, like I mentioned, price and barbell, where, hey, you can enter and have a sunrise special or a mama's pancake. And now if you want flavor, the signature pancakes are here. Grandma's gives you the opportunity for proteins and meats. And on top of that, if you really want something indulgent, we have our stuffed cheesecake pancakes. So I was really proud of the work that the team was able to do in a short amount of time and identify an opportunity for our guests, putting it on a core platform like our pancakes, and really solving a solution for them that is still paying dividends for us today.
Well, I know that Cracker Barrel is also trying to bolster dinner business. So have you done some things on the dinner side, or are they in the works now?
I think we're going to always keep the eye on the ball on dinner as well. So I think, if you look over the past, since I've been here, one of the most recent things we've done dinner right now is the reintroduction of our Campfire platform, right? So Campfire was something that was a core brand staple for a lot of years. And the last year we brought it back was 2018, but since then it's disappeared. It disappeared. And when we started to look at, like I said, only here experiences that we can bring guests for things like dinner, Campfire stood out to me as an opportunity that was like, hey, why did we stop this? It came every year. And then you figured out very quickly that there are some things with execution. There are some things with, refinement from the guest perspective that we can do. So we set out to very quickly understand what those things were, how can we update them for the guests of today, and bring it back in a way that is, refreshing, but still ownable to the brand. And this is exactly what we did. We relaunched Campfire. We brought back the Campfire chicken and Campfire beef. And this year we added our Campfire shrimp skillet, which is brand new to the platform overall. And we're able to bring that as a really great price point of starting at $10.99 as well. So it was this awesome thing where Campfire, you think about it, kind of checks all those boxes. It's ownable to us. It has a great value proposition starting at $10.99. And it's something that our guests can come and experience, over and over again for lunch and dinner as well.
Yeah, it must be fun for kids too, it feels like they're camping out and opening.
I'll tell you, it's fun for everyone. You have to see the face of someone when they open up that foil wrap.
Yeah.
I tell you, when I first opened the foil wrap, I was like, hey, this is an awesome experience for us. And then, if you haven't tried yet, definitely go out, and I encourage all your listeners while you still can to go out and, open that tin foil and see the full Campfire experience in our stores.
Yeah, it really affects all the senses, which is, pretty amazing for one meal.
Yes, it's awesome.
So you brought a data-driven approach to menu development. So can you tell me a little bit about what that means and how it manifests itself at Cracker Barrel?
Yeah. I think, it's not super scientific at all. I think it really boils down to, what do our guests want? Let's figure out what our guests want. First and foremost, what are the needs of the guests, and what are the opportunities that our guests have there? And more importantly, where can we provide solutions for them, right? I firmly believe that if you provide solutions to guest problems, you'll get a sustainable result. So a lot of the work we do is understanding, okay, within our data, what are we selling today? What have happened to the trends of that item? Have they moved up or down over time? What's happened? What's kind of pulled back? If something's pulled back, why is that pulled back? And then you ask guests. Then from there, it's understanding, within our process, okay, if we were to close a gap on this solution, what is the overall impact to the business, right? What is this worth? What's the size of the opportunity there as well? And then what we do is we try to have as many of these ideas as possible go into our process. And then throughout, different forms of testing with guests, operations, everything else, we kind of filter that down to find the top ideas. Because ultimately what we want to do is take this broad range of ideas that can solve the problems down to the few that are going to be the big rocks that can really provide solutions for our guests. So I think, it is a data-centric approach. There is a lot of art to it as well, especially when you're doing things like blue sky innovation, because sometimes the guests don't really know how to react to that or what it is, but you have to kind of, use the processes that you put in place to develop these items.
So you must do a lot of surveys and get guest feedback.
Consistently. Because I think feedback is truly a gift, right? And I think it's important to understand not only the feedback from our guests, but also our team members who make the products in the restaurants as well, right? Because there are a lot of times where, after, we test along the way and we hear feedback from our team members and guests and we modify and launch, but there's nothing like when you go to scale at 660 plus stores, right? There's always going to be something that you missed or something else like that. And by getting that feedback, we're able to refine for future launches, right? So if we learn something about a lunch promotion or dinner promotion or a breakfast promotion, we can make those edits to future things to continually get better as well. So I think, we're always asking, our owners, our operators and our guests feedback on everything that we do.
So I know, one of Cracker Barrel has a lot of really loyal fans and longtime regulars, but how are you trying to attract younger customers while keeping those regulars, happy and satisfied?
Yeah, look, I think that is the balance, right? Like, how do you increase the frequency of your core guests while reach new guests, right? And ultimately increase the frequency as well. And I think a lot of it has to do with how you position the menu and the portfolio, right? So I'll use a great example. Fried chicken is a staple of ours that all of our guests love the category of fried chicken that we have. Now, depending on the product we have, we can do different things to reach different guests. So, for example, our signature fried chicken does very well with our current core guests of today. They love the flavor. They're able to get it, execute as well. But our crispy tender dippers reached a different guest that are younger, are looking for a different experience with sauces and that as well. So if you think about having both those things layered on the menu, we're able to reach our core guest while having items that let us bring new people in. And crispy tender dippers were launched this past winter for us and have been a staple on the menu as well. Guests are just, really enamored with being able to dip our chicken tenders in sauces. Meanwhile, if that's not your thing, you have the option to get, our home style chicken or Southern fried chicken as well. So there's definitely, I think you have to provide optionality that is built from your core in a way that allows you to reach new people, but not alienate your base.
Cool. Well, I mean, this kind of leads into the next point. Social media is impacting menu development in a lot of restaurants. And so how are you listening, or not you specifically, but Cracker Barrel's doing social listening? And is it impacting how fast items are coming out of the pipeline now? Because social media seems to move things a lot faster than before.
Yeah, no, you're spot on. I think, one of the things I truly believe in are good ideas come from everywhere, right? So, and to hear the good ideas from everywhere, you have to listen everywhere, right? So working closely with our social team, we're always understanding kind of what our guests are saying, not only here amongst Cracker Barrel, but also in small places as well, right? Because there may be like little ideas that are popping up in places that we have to listen to. So once we get those ideas and we hear them, the question for us is how quickly can we inject them into our funnel and our process, right? Because the hard part is not actually is getting the ideas, is understanding, can I make this scalable, right? Because a lot of times, things that are popping up are done off in a one-off place, maybe or independent operators. Like, hey, how can I make this scalable and ownable at the same time? And that's where you see a lot of the time is spent from a team perspective. So it's not, we're going to always listen and find the ideas out there as well. But then it's okay, how does this fit into our pipeline? Is it opportunistic only, or is it strategic and can build on something as well? And then if it's both, let's accelerate it where possible, get feedback, and then, get as many barriers out of the way to kind of, get in front of our guests as soon as possible. Because ultimately the guests will tell you if you have a solution or not.
Have you gotten any ideas on social that you actually implemented on the menu so far since you've been there?
Not yet. I think there are a few things that we have in test, that you may see pop up soon. As well, you may see a few things pop up soon, but we definitely have a few ideas that are inspired by our guests' kind of behaviors online that we're seeing that we're currently validating to understand, impact and kind of potential.
Right. And how about dessert? I know dessert is important to Cracker Barrel, and also your beverage program. It seems like that's very robust now. So tell me a little bit about those parts of the menu.
Yeah. So when you think about the Cracker Barrel experience, one of the things that we're trying to do is, how do we get our guests to add more items to kind of, as they come in? And one of the opportunities that we've seen is that we have the ability to add more desserts and shareables and appetizers. Our guests were very specific on kind of what kind of desserts that they want, So one of the things that we did is like, what are these thematic desserts that can help add to our kind of like check, but still kind of fit within the model of kind of what we have today. So this past summer, we introduced our s'more skillet, which kind of pairs very well with our Campfire platform as well. And then we also introduced our cinnamon roll skillet as well. And what's interesting is that what we're seeing is that when you have some items that can actually cross multiple day parts, like our cinnamon roll skillet, our guests are reacting very well. So if you're a guest who comes in for breakfast and wants something sweet, you have a cinnamon roll option kind of there for you as well. Or if you like something sweet at the end of dinner, cinnamon roll is there. Or if you're just want to thematically in the season brownie, our s'more skillet is there for you as well. So I think it's understanding those guest occasions I mentioned at the beginning allows you to then find these desserts that play multiple roles in them. So then that way, one, we're able to reach more guests while not dramatically increasing the complexity for our operations as well.
And I know that you introduced alcohol at some locations. Is that something, is that program going to expand, or is it something that guests are reacting well to?
Yeah, it's a core part of our menu, right? I think, over time, we're going to understand how best to leverage it as best as possible. I think, we have, the reaction to our mimosas is very strong on the weekend. I think either it's just understanding what opportunities we can provide to our guests to kind of have, if you want an alcoholic experience, like what that looks like. But it's a part of our core menu. We're going to find different ways to pull levers there over time as well, and see what we can do there.
And how about catering? I know that's ramping up too. Are you involved with that side of the menu, or is that a separate department?
Yeah, so I think we have an off-premise department, but obviously everything food related comes from kind of like my team and everything there. So, and it's very similar to, the catering occasion is growing, right? I think one of our biggest occasions is an off-premise occasion in the holidays, right? So you think about Thanksgiving, like Cracker Barrel is synonymous with like great food in Thanksgiving, and especially being able to kind of meet the need for guests who are looking for options that are easier to bring to large parties. So that's where we spend a lot of our time, is understanding like in these key moments that are going to be these off-premise occasions for our guests, how can we show up with amazing food, right? And like, how do we structure those dishes to deliver the taste of Cracker Barrel anywhere you are, right? Because like you should be able to get the taste of country anywhere you are, right? And I think how we structure that is kind of the challenge there, because, you may not have the same tools we have in our kitchen and everything else as well. So how do we give it to you? So, hey, if you want to bring home this amazing plate of, of turkey for Thanksgiving, that when you put in your oven or follow the instructions, it'll be just like coming in Cracker Barrel. So that's where we spend a lot of our time.
And what do you like to cook at home? Do you have favorite things that you do for?
Yeah, no, I am like, so I make a mess when I cook. My wife would tell you that I use every pot in the kitchen when I cook, but I try my best to not do to do it infrequently as possible. When I do, I do a lot. I am a big griller, right? So I like to like grill and smoke meats a lot. I think one of my favorite things to kind of like put on the grill is to do a lot of long cooks, actually, a lot of porks, a lot of like ribs and things like that. I do a lot of long cooks. When I'm like in the house, my family's background's from Jamaica, and I try to like make a lot of my grandma's recipes a lot to kind of like keep that going as much as possible. I'm definitely not as good as she is. I don't have kind of like the patience, I think, to kind of do as well as she does. But I think it's important to kind of like be able to keep some of those recipes and traditions kind of passed down. So I spent a lot of time trying to like make those dishes as close as possible to what I remember growing up.
Do you think we'll ever see jerk chicken at Cracker Barrel?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I would not put on my 2025 bingo card.
We won't rule it out.
We won't rule it out, though.
Speaking of that, what is next? Can you share any ideas about what might be coming up on the fall menu without giving away any secrets?
Okay, I can tell you that we're going to keep to focus on solving solutions for dinner, bringing out craveable, ownable products for our guests there. So you'll see us, continuing to do that. I think what happens now is that, if you look at the beginning, there were kind of like smart, quick wins on the pipe, like, things like pancakes, things like steaks that we can add. Now that we've had time to test and validate, we're going to see bigger opportunities along our lunch and dinner day part. We're going to still invest in breakfast. I think breakfast is our core and one of our strengths there. So you'll see opportunities there. And more importantly, you'll see how we all tie them together now within the brand. So you're going to see, probably a lot more of what we're doing, just probably a little more focus on our guest and a little bit bigger from like impact as well.
But we'll have to meet again a year from now and talk
yeah, exactly. Look, I'm always here, and you know where to find me as well. We can always chat on it.
Thanks for tuning into this week's episode of Menu Talk. Like and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Pat Covey.
And I'm Bret Thorne.
See you next week.
Mayonnaise is a simple ingredient with a critical mission in professional kitchens. So why is selecting the right mayonnaise so complex? From extra heavy duty to real super premium, the category terminology causes unnecessary confusion. And the lack of standardization can lead to disappointing results, dissatisfied customers, and costly waste. Visit VenturaFoods.com/mayo needs to help you find the right mayonnaise for your operation.